They're about to attempt something no human has ever done, not just to land on the moon, but to drive across it, to climb mountains higher than anything on Earth, to venture farther from safety than anyone in history. They will push their spacesuits to the breaking point. They will stand at the edge of a mile-deep canyon. They will hold a rock older than Earth itself. And on the way home, something will go catastrophically wrong. 2 years earlier, the world watched Neil Armstrong take humanity's first steps on another world. Apollo 11 had achieved the impossible. The moon had been conquered, but there was a problem. The American public was already losing interest. The ratings for Apollo 12 dropped. Apollo 13's explosion brought the world back, but for all the wrong reasons. NASA faced a brutal truth. Walking on the moon wasn't enough anymore. They needed something bigger, something more ambitious, something that would prove the Apollo program wasn't just about planting flags, but about science, discovery, and exploration. So they redesigned everything. They extended the life support systems, they upgraded the spacesuits, they modified the lunar module to carry more weight, and they did something that sounded completely insane. They decided to send a car to the moon. 3 men were chosen for this mission. David Scott, the commander, a veteran of Gemini and Apollo 9, calm under pressure, analytical, and a test pilot who understood that every decision could mean life or death. James Irwin, the lunar module pilot. He was quiet, deeply religious, a man who saw this mission as something spiritual, as a chance to witness creation itself. And Alfred Worden, the command module pilot. Alfred would spend 3 days alone orbiting the moon, completely isolated. They trained for over a year. They studied geology until they could identify rocks like professional scientists. They practiced driving a vehicle that didn't exist yet. They simulated emergencies that had never happened, because where they were going, there would be no rescue, no backup plan, and no second chances. Previous Apollo missions had landed in flat, safe areas, the Sea of Tranquility, the Ocean of Storms. But Apollo 15 was different. NASA chose the most dangerous landing site yet, Hadley Rille, a massive canyon carved into the lunar surface, over a mile deep, 3 miles long, bordered by the Apennine Mountains, peaks rising 20,000 feet above the surrounding terrain, higher than anything in the continental United States. But why choose such a dangerous location? Because that's where the science was. The Rille was a window into the moon's geological history. The mountains contained rocks from the earliest days of the solar system, but landing there would require precision beyond anything attempted before. Too short, they'd crash into the mountains. Too long, they'd plunge into the canyon. The margin for error was measured in seconds. One mistake, and the mission would end in disaster.
"15 seconds, guidance internal, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, ignition sequence start, engines armed, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all engines running, launch commit, liftoff, we have liftoff at 9:34 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The tower is clear.
And we have a roll program.
£7.5 million of thrust. The ground shakes for miles. Inside the command module, the crew feels the violence of acceleration, the rocket climbing faster and faster. In 12 minutes, they'll be in orbit. In 4 days, they'll be on the moon. But first, they have to survive the journey. The trip to the moon is not peaceful. It's 3 days in a space the size of a small car. Every system has to work perfectly. Every course correction has to be precise. One malfunction, and they're dead. No one can save them out here because they are completely alone. July 30th. After 3 days of travel, Scott and Irwin transfer into the lunar module. They name it Falcon. Worden stays behind in the command module, Endeavour. He'll spend the next 3 days orbiting alone while his crewmates explore below. The two spacecraft separate. Falcon begins its descent. At first, it's quiet. The computer handles the trajectory, but as they drop closer to the surface, the terrain comes into view, and it's terrifying. Mountains everywhere, massive peaks rising out of the darkness, shadows so deep they look like bottomless pits. The landing radar struggles to lock on. The computer is guiding them toward boulders the size of houses. Scott takes manual control. He's flying blind. Dust kicks up from the descent engine. Visibility drops to 0. Fuel is running low. The alarm sounds. 60 seconds. Scott adjusts. 30 seconds. He can barely see the surface. 10 seconds. And then, contact light. Engine stop. Silence. They've landed, but they're not safe yet.
On the plane at Hadley. Roger, Roger, Falcon. No denying that. We had contact. Houston, the Hadley base here. Tell those geologists in the back room to get ready, because we've really got something for them.
Scott opens the hatch. For the first time, he sees where they've landed, and the view takes his breath away.
Boy, what a view. I can see Pluton and Icarus.
Mountains everywhere. The Apennines tower above them, massive walls of rock stretching into the black sky. The Rille lies to their south, a gash in the lunar surface, a canyon so deep the bottom disappears into darkness. They are standing at the edge of something ancient, something alien. Scott descends the ladder. His boots touch the surface. He looks around, and for a moment he forgets to breathe. This is not the moon that Armstrong saw. This is something else entirely. This is a wilderness, and they're about to explore it in a way no one ever has. Behind the lunar module attached to the descent stage is a vehicle, folded up, waiting. The Lunar Roving Vehicle. A car designed to drive on another world. It weighs 460 pounds on Earth. On the moon, just 77. It can travel at 11 miles per hour. It's powered by batteries that will last about 78 hours, enough for 3 days of exploration. Scott and Irwin unfold it. The wheels lock into place. The antenna extends. The controls come online. They climb aboard, and then something extraordinary happens. Scott presses the accelerator. The rover lurches forward. Dust kicks up behind the wheels. They're driving on the moon. For the first time in history, humans are no longer limited to walking. They can go farther. They can see more. They can truly explore. The first drive is surreal. The rover bounces over the terrain. At times, all 4 wheels leave the ground. They're flying. Scott steers around craters. He avoids boulders. The landscape stretches out in every direction, completely untouched. They drive nearly 2 miles from the lunar module, farther than any Apollo crew has ventured. If the rover breaks down, they'll have to walk back, in bulky spacesuits, with limited oxygen, in the searing sunlight. One wrong turn could kill them. But they keep going, because this is why they came. To see what's out there, to discover what the moon has been hiding for billions of years. They stop at Elbow Crater. Scott climbs out. He kneels down, he picks up a rock, and he realizes something incredible. This rock is ancient, older than anything on Earth. It formed when the solar system was still young, when Earth was still molten. He's holding a piece of the beginning. On their second day, they drive to the base of Hadley Delta, a mountain rising 15,000 feet above them. The slope is steep and the terrain is rough. But they need to get higher. They need to reach the outcrop, because that's where the oldest rocks are, and they climb, step by step. Their suits strain with every movement. The temperature inside climbs, sweat drips into their eyes. Their breathing becomes labored, but they keep going. And then Irwin sees it. A white rock, partially buried, completely different from everything around it. He calls Scott over. They brush away the dust and they stare. This is it. The Genesis rock, a piece of the moon's original crust. 4.1 billion years old, formed when the moon was covered in an ocean of molten rock. One of the most important discoveries in the history of space exploration, and they're holding it in their gloved hands. For a moment, neither of them speaks. They're standing on a mountain on the moon, holding a rock older than Earth, completely alone, 250,000 miles from home. It's almost too much to comprehend. They have one more day, one more chance to explore, one more opportunity to see what no one else will ever see. On the third day, they drive to the edge of Hadley Rille. They park the rover on the rim, and they look down. The canyon drops away beneath them. The walls are layered, different colors, different ages, a geological record written in stone. Scott walks to the edge. He looks into the depths, and he feels something primal. He feels awe, fear, and wonder. They're standing at the edge of a canyon on another world, and they're completely alone. Before they leave, Scott quietly performs a ceremony. Without announcement, he reaches into his suit pocket and pulls out a small aluminum figure, 3.5 inches tall, a sculpture of an astronaut. Beside it, a plaque. On the plaque, 14 names, Soviet cosmonauts and American astronauts, men who died in the pursuit of space exploration: Yuri Gagarin, Vladimir Komarov, Gus Grissom, Ed White, Roger Chaffee, and others. Scott places the figure on the lunar surface. Just before they leave, Scott conducts one final philosophical experiment.
Well, in my left hand I have a feather. In my right hand a hammer. And I guess one of the reasons we got here today was because of a gentleman named Galileo a long time ago, who made a rather significant discovery about falling objects in gravity fields. And we thought that where would be a better place to confirm his findings than on the moon. And so we thought we'd try it here for you. The feather happens to be appropriately a falcon feather for our falcon. And I'll drop the two of them here, and hopefully they'll hit the ground at the same time. How about that? Which proves that Mr. Galileo was correct in his findings.
Both objects fall. They hit the surface at the exact same moment. Galileo's theory proven 400 years after he first proposed it. On the moon, it's a small moment, but it's profound. It shows that this mission is about more than just collecting rocks. It's about testing our understanding of the universe. It's about proving that the laws of physics work everywhere, even on the moon, 250,000 miles from home. After 3 days on the surface, it's time to leave. Scott and Irwin climb back into Falcon. They seal the hatch. They run through the checklist. Everything has to be perfect. The countdown reaches 0, and the engine roars to life. Falcon lurches upward. The descent stage stays behind. The rover sits alone on the surface, still recording, sending back video of the ascent. Falcon climbs higher, faster. The mountains shrink below. The Rille disappears into the distance, and then they're in orbit. They've survived, but the mission isn't over. On the way back to Earth, Worden does something unprecedented. He performs a spacewalk, not in low Earth orbit, not near the space station, but in deep space, 196,000 miles from Earth, farther than any spacewalk in history. He opens the hatch, he pushes himself out, and he floats. The command module drifts nearby. The moon is a distant sphere behind him. Earth is a tiny blue dot ahead, and he's floating in between. Nothing around him, no ground, no up or down, just infinite space. He retrieves film canisters from the service module. He performs his tasks, but part of him is somewhere else, overwhelmed by the scale of it all, the vast emptiness, the infinite darkness, the terrifying beauty of space. August 7th. The service module separates. The command module orients for re-entry. They hit the atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour. The heat shield glows white hot. Plasma streams past the windows. They're pulling 7 Gs, and then something goes wrong. For a few terrifying seconds, NASA didn't know if Apollo 15 would survive the final mile. As they descend under parachutes, one of the three main chutes fails. It doesn't deploy fully, it collapses. They're coming in faster than planned, much faster. The remaining two parachutes strain under the load. Mission Control watches in horror. The crew braces for impact. The capsule slams into the Pacific Ocean, harder than any Apollo splashdown before it. Water surges through a valve. The capsule tilts. For a moment it seems like it might sink, but it rights itself. The crew is alive, shaken, bruised, but alive. They survived the moon, and they survived the return too. They made it home.